Hello. In the previous video, we have considered some of the key issues that the industry is facing currently. And in this present video, we'll consider probably the most successful auction in India, the 3G spectrum auction, and relate it with the exorbitantly low tariff structure, that is 1 paise per second tariff structure in India. A fact to start with, auction has generated a revenue of almost 67,000 crore rupees. And there was an interesting aspect with respect to 3G spectrum auctions. It was indeed delayed by almost 1.5 years. The reason for this delay? Apparently, the army told the Telecom department that, we can release the spectrum, but before we release the spectrum, build optical fiber cable for us so that we can shift our activity from that spectrum to this optical fiber cable. But there was a delay in building that cable. When I talked to an official, he said, the cable can be built up very fast. It will not take much time. But it is not being built. Let us try to understand why they have delayed this. Of course, everyone might say corruption, but maybe there is something more than that. There might be an economic reason behind this delay. 1.5 years ago, India was adding around 1 crore subscribers per month, and a foreign telephone service provider, mobile service provider, would find this, India has a large population and they have an amazing growth rate. So probably India is a very good destination for us. And so foreign players have started to land in India. The Uninors, probably of Norway's, Nortel. And it has resulted in an increased competition. And also, there is another phase to this increased competition. The tariff structures have been very low, around 1 paise per second. What could be the reason for this? These service providers have eyed that after 3G comes in, 3G is expected to generate more revenues for us because we are providing higher value to the subscriber. And so it is very important for us to lock in this customer. And locking is possible when you provide a very low tariff structure, that is 1 paise per second. That has resulted in a high switching cost for the customer. Not only does he have to change his number, but he has to pay a little bit higher for the new service provider, if at all he switches from his earlier low tariff structure service provider. Of course, the whole industry followed that, and it did not result in much positive to Tata Docomo. But again, they have logged in their customers, and these customers could probably prove beneficial for them over the long term because of the usage of 3G. And so 1 paise per second is not necessarily purely based to grab market share, but it is probably intended to grab market share in the future, that is, grab market share of 3G service subscribers. And of course, given that there was an increase in competition, there was more number of players who landed in India, there was an increase in auction revenues. Let us try to understand if these auctions could have been gamed. A slightly technical one, but let me explain you in simple terms. Let's assume that in our country there are only 3 circles and there are only 3 service providers: service provider A, service provider B, and service provider C. And there are 300 subscribers for these 3 service providers in these 3 different circles, 100 in each different circle. So in circle X, for service provider A, there would be 33.3 subscribers. For service provider B, there would be 33.3. Service provider C, 33.3, and so on. Same is the case in circle Y and circle Z. So in total, each of these service providers have 100 subscribers. And each of these service providers is operating in these 3 different circles. Now, let us change the scenario a bit. Service provider A is operating only in circle X. Service provider B is operating only in circle Y. Service provider C operates only in circle Z. Then, let us look at their revenues. The revenues, of course, is nothing but ARPU into 100 subscribers for each of these 3. So the total number of subscribers in the earlier scenario, where these 3 service providers were operating in these 3 different circles, was 100. In the later scenario, where these 3 different service providers are operating in only one circle, is also 100. But if you look at cost, the cost of operating in 3 different regions is far higher than cost of operating in a single region. Okay? So if you look at profit margin, in the earlier scenario, you have 100 subscribers minus the cost of operating in 3 regions, whereas in the later scenario, when they have gamed the system, the profit margin would be 100 subscribers minus cost of operating in a single circle. That is, the profit has increased by cost of operating in 2 circles, because they have entered into a mutual agreement that I will choose this circle, you choose this circle, and he chooses this circle. Let us look at the 3G auctions. If you look at Telecom, they have taken it in this way. Aircel in this continuous fashion, Reliance in north, Airtel in pockets of north, east, south, and west. Idea, this looks, I don't know, I don't understand this. Vodafone has taken small chunks in each part. So, I'll leave you with this thought. Did gaming of these auctions happen based on what I have said here and what you can see here?